Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to place for everything Rocket League with your hosts, K-Cube, AJ Binky, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go boost over ball.
We have a problem. I didn't watch any of the 1v1s this weekend.
Well, we'll kind of cruise through it.
I just kept tuning in to see scores. I was working Saturday and Sunday. I was taking pictures for my sister. I just opened up my phone. I checked chat, or I checked what the score was. I really wanted Chronic and First Killer to face off for the championship.
That'd have been crazy. Also, it did work. The alert did go off. Hell yeah.
I think it's better that Diaz won though, so like no one's getting distracted by also having to do ones.
Yeah. Indeed. But
you gotta really take, especially if it was the ultimates, they need to be fully focused on threes.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting though. Like Johnny Boy was talking about, he's like, maybe it'll be the whole Western Hemisphere versus France in terms of rooting. And I'm like, I feel like that's actually probably pretty close because like Diaz is Brazilian. So oh wow.
Down with France. Down with France.
Oh well, what are you gonna do? But you ready to kick this off?
Yeah, sir.
Also, I apologize if there's any extra noise coming through or anything like that. We switched over to Streamlabs OBS to try and make the stream experience a little bit better for everyone, as you know, we are now Twitch affiliates. Thank you all for that. But it will be a little bit of a work in progress as we keep going, and you know, I'm sure things will only get better as we continue on. But until that point, please bear with us and thank you. So, first and foremost, hello and welcome back to the Boost Over Ball podcast. The listeners new and old, thank you for tuning in, and you know, welcome back. I'm Kyle, K-Cube in the top left. In the bottom right, we have Quilly. How is it going?
Good. Happy to be here. Nice little one-on-one conversation. Very fitting for this weekend's festivities.
Oh, yeah. Red is unfortunately sick and can't be with us today. And a little bit of housekeeping first and foremost. We have 3 episodes until we are headed to Raleigh, which so close yet so far still. So this week we'll be doing we'll be talking about the MENA and the NA 1v1 qualifier that concluded. We'll talk about a seeding update for Raleigh. And you know, the article that was posted about it, because the first round matchups are a bit chalked. And we will finish off with a major power ranking just between the two of us. Not really going into much detail about the teams, because next week, we'll record June 16th and we'll do our full major preview. We'll do some stats. We'll bring in some more hard-hitting analysis and go from there. And the 23rd, we will most likely be trying to fit an interview in with someone, or something, some kind of light content like that, as we will all be getting ready to travel to Raleigh, or will already be in Raleigh for the week. So we have a couple of exciting weeks, and we are within, touching distance of the major, which is awesome. So with that, you ready to jump right into some ones?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, first off, we'll talk about MENA, and I don't know why it's taking a second for me to load. Like the stream still looks good and everything looks good, but it's not loading, so that's good.
I got the stream up, at least for right now.
Yeah, no, the Wikipedia page wasn't opening up.
Oh, I get what you're saying now.
Okay, so for people who haven't watched a ton of the RLCS 1v1 this season, it's a little bit different of a format. We have the double Swiss, similar to RLCS. We have the group similar to RLCS into a our normal AFL playoff bracket. So players, not teams, players making the top 8 through the upper bracket are Nuepo, Ops, Dr. Known, and Rawas. And through the lower bracket, we have Nush, Abdallah, Nader, and Clears. Interestingly enough, you know, kind of all the people that you'd kind of expect to see, at least for me, in terms of like the big hitters in MENA. Interesting to see Clears in that lower bracket. You know, he ended up losing to Rawas, so you know the brother on brother crime there. But our top 4 consists of Rawas versus Nush, in which Rawas won 4-2, and Nuepo versus Clears, in which Nuepo swept him 4-0. And in the grand finals, in what was a phenomenal match, Nuepo is able to take down Rawas 4-3 in Game 7. That's a lot of talent if your grand finals is Rawas and Nuepo. Nuepo takes Game 1. Rawas then wins 3 straight. So puts him on, you know, triple match point, and Nuepo is able to win 3 games in a row, 10-7, 5-4, and 7-3. So incredible like poise and consistency there at the end from Nuepo, and a fantastic series. If people haven't watched it, I highly recommend that they do. But I mean, even if you didn't watch, like it's an interesting game mode. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I totally understand that. However, it is definitely a different way to enjoy Rocket League, and I'm sure, like we saw at least in NA, we saw a couple of forfeits during the game, which is something also that you don't see very often. But what have been your thoughts so far on kind of the 1v1 event and its inclusion into RLCS?
I think it's given it's shining a light on a very niche market, but definitely one of the higher end secondary markets are game modes. I think it's a better term for it, probably, because obviously you have ones mains, you have, I don't know, twos mains. I guess you consider twos mains. You got hoops mains. I don't know if snow day mains exist. But yeah,
AJ's a snow
I
day.
think. Yeah, you got AJ at Snow Day, you got Pandy and Rumble. Yeah, we know people in places that but everyone has their own type of thing that they love, and ones I would think I would say confidently is one of the bigger ends of the thing, because at the end of the day, anyone who's taking the game seriously is grinding ones at the very least, just to work on mechanics and maybe work on the mental of getting tilted, because boy howdy can you get angry playing ones. But I think it's given a good chance to players and opportunities like Moxie, who in any other case would not be playing for any team, but is now getting an opportunity to play at LANs. Played in Birmingham, right? That's what it is.
Yes, you're correct.
And he's going to play in Lyons in September. So it's giving I don't know if it's the best one, but we'll see if it's the best way to go about it. But it's definitely RLCS trying to give us something new and unique. So at the end of the day, it's free Rocket League, and yeah, instead it takes out the team aspect of the 3v3 we usually watch, and really just have pros head to head to see who comes out on top, who's better one-on-one.
Fair enough. And we're kind of going to move through some of these topics a little bit quicker, because I think that the portions that will take up the most amount of time are going to be talking about the format and seeding for Raleigh, and our power ranking. So moving on over to NA, a wide range of players that you see, notable people missing out on the top 16: Kofer, Cam from Davenport, 5UP from Akron, LJ, Zaniel, Jazzy, who's playing on What's Up, but playing in CRL, Hockey from Poab, Andy from Deleted. There's a lot of players that have entered the fray for the 1v1 competition, but unfortunately we can only have so many. One player that we see not making the top 8 is Season 5 S5 Cosmic, who back for the captain's battle in at Esports World Cup. G2 picked him up to be their ones main back when they were able to do that. But, Cosmic unable to make an impression as he beats Reddles in the lower quarterfinal after getting swept by Wavy, and then he gets swept by First Killer. So a rough go at it for him. But enough about the players who didn't make it. The players who did. Through our upper bracket, we have Wavy, Diaz, A Zapatos, Evo, and through lower bracket we have First Killer, Wiz, AJ, and Chronic. Not exactly the players that you're used to hearing about in RLCS. AJ, part of Gas, Wiz, not necessarily known for his 3v3 ability, but nonetheless, a great achievement for him. Moving into our top 4, we have First Killer taking down Evo 4-1, and Diaz taking down Chronic 4-2. And then moving into the grand finals, we have Diaz sweeping First Killer. This has become the first grand finals that was a sweep in all of the ones RLCS circuit, which, at least for me, again, begs the question, is this Unclutch Killer striking again, or is Diaz just that good?
I think it's got to be Diaz being that good at ones. First Killer obviously not known for his ones ability. I think he's possibly one of the best all around players. So his obvious main stake in Rocket League isn't 1v1. Diaz is definitely one of the more higher end ones players. He as you can tell by his outing. But First Killer back-to-back grand finals getting swept, not a good look.
Yeah.
If you want to go all the way back to Birmingham, also swept.
Yeah. It's a rough time for the First Killer stands. But First Killer was a ones main when he broke out onto the scene, but haven't really heard much of anything about First Killer and ones recently, and at least not the same way that you have with Wavy. That's how he burst onto the scene. Zapatos, that's what he's known for. Diaz, Chronic has even, I've heard Chronic talked about as a ones player more than First Killer, at least recently. But Diaz just looks so good against Chronic, and First Killer is a player that we know is a little bit tiltable. The mental can sometimes be hit or miss for him there, but it was not close. 6-2, 6-3, 6-2, 8-3, and the 8-3 was a forfeit, so it could have been more. They did not finish the full game there, but it seemed like in every game First Killer jumped out to a 1 or 2 goal lead, and then it was just all Diaz. His ability to get a flip reset and get one extra touch on it before or after the flip reset really, First Killer could not compete. And it was a phenomenal outing for Diaz. I know that for sure I will be rooting for Diaz against Nuepo in Raleigh. I think that's going to be a phenomenal series. I think those two players are incredibly mechanical ones players. So I will be very intrigued to see how that goes. But do you think, if I'm looking forward to it, I'm excited to see a 1v1 matchup in Raleigh, do you think that I'm in the minority of people who are looking forward to that? You're not going to offend me if you say that I am. I'm interested.
I want to say yes, because everyone's there for the main tournament. I'd say the people are there that are like, yeah, ones, heck yeah, probably. The people that are going to be there is already a vast minority based off ticket sales. No offense, Arles. Yes, hey, pick smaller venues. Gosh dang it. Yeah, I think it's I don't think it's definitely a big group of people looking fondly forward to it.
Fair. Well, I am intrigued nonetheless to see what happens. I will be interested to see what it looks like on LAN, how it's presented. I think that will be interesting, and I guess I'm also just looking forward to Rocket League in person in general. So any extras that we get on top of it are just kind of gravy for me at least. But was there anything else that you wanted to talk about in terms of 1v1 before we talk about some of this this chalked seeding?
If I have to watch France win both ones and threes world championship in September, they're gonna ruin my whole day.
Because then we have to stew on it for like 4 months.
Yeah, this whole time in between. I mean, we still got EWC to look forward to and whatnot, right? That's before Worlds again.
Yep.
I mean, that's all we have to hold us until then. Maybe some cash cups, what have you.
I'm sure
So,
there'll be other tournaments too, but yeah.
We're gonna be waiting that whole time just to watch a double France grand finals or double France win.
Yeah. But with that, you're ready to talk about some major seeding, which I still don't.
I don't know if I want to talk about it, but
I feel like we have to, even though it's like a little bit ridiculous. But first and foremost, the first round matchups for Raleigh have been set, and they don't really make a ton of sense to me. Our first round matchups are as follows: we have Karmine Corps versus Twisted Minds, NRG versus Gen G, Furia versus Wildcard, Falcons versus Secret, Dignitas versus Virtus Pro, Space Station Gaming versus the Ultimates, Vitality versus TSM, and Gentlemates versus Foot. So a couple of things that stick out to us and hopefully should stick out to you is the fact that NRG is playing Gen G and Space Station Gaming is playing the Ultimates. So you have all 4 NA teams playing another NA team. A little bit of friendly fire. So 2 NA teams will be confirmed in the 0-1 bracket, which is a little bit ridiculous, especially at an NA LAN. Also, another thing, it's Karmine Corps, right? So they're still fully capable of, winning that round 1 matchup. But, why is the overall number 1 seed playing Twisted Minds and not, and I'm sorry to do this to them, but, a Secret or a Virtus Pro or a TSM?
It's really baffling. I got no words for it.
So, we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth here in a second, but there was a tweet posted by RL Esports, RLCS LAN seeding explained, and I'll read this out. And again, we will, we've retweeted it. So if you want to go see it, you can see it there. I can also post it in the episode description. But at the beginning of the 2025 Rocket League Championship Series season, a revised methodology for LAN seeding has been instituted. The change seeks to establish a standardized framework for seeding that aims to combine both historical and more recent performance metrics more effectively than previous systems. The seeding method for each event is based upon 2 primary factors: the preliminary seeding of a regional slot prior to the start of the tournament, and the subsequent performance of that slot throughout the event. It is important to note that this methodology is based upon regional slots rather than individual teams. The team occupying a slot before and after an event may be different. To illustrate, if Space Station Gaming is designated as North America 2, NA2, entering an event and secures first place, this first place result will be attributed to North America's number 1 regional slot instead. So it's not benefiting the individual teams, it's benefiting the spot in which you finish. So the procedure steps for this method are as follows. Identify the initial seeding and final placements of all region spots. In instances of placement ties, the upper boundary of the relevant range will be utilized. 7th, 8th place will be considered 7th place, etc. Compute the average of the initial seeding and final placements for each regional slot. If NA1 is seeded 2nd and finishes 4th, the calculation would be 2 plus 4 divided by 2, so it would be the average of that. Arrange these average scores in descending order. In the case of ties, prioritization will be given to the most recent LAN placement. The resulting ordered list will determine the seeding for the ensuing LAN event. In the case of the Birmingham Major, due to MENA 2 regional slot being unable to participate in the prior event, the World Championship, their seed was instead locked to their initial prior event seed 12, with the remaining seeds for the Birmingham Major following this method outlined here. So that's a lot of words. It's your average placement of not the team, but the seed. So the EU1 was the overall number 1 seed for Major 1. They finished first. Their average placement is 1. Major number 2 seed for NA1 was 2. Their major placement was 2, so their average placement is also 2. So with that, it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. What do you think?
I think it's beyond idiotic. Stupid is an understatement way to put it. At double NAs round one, guaranteeing 2 NA teams start 0-1. I know it could just be this NA bias because obviously we're rooting for NA, but there's no reason that one region, especially one being as big as NA, is facing that. That's it. That's the matchup. It's double NA. Like everyone was crashing out over EU and versus EU, and then one NA versus one NA. But now we just got double NA, which makes zero sense at how that maths. And the fact that we got, no offense, we love you, Harmonic, but we got EU4 going against SSA, but NA1 going against NA3. I don't know how this math is mathing. The math is not adding up.
Add an NA event.
At an NA event. So we're pretty much putting half of NA on the back foot off round one, and they're pretty much going to have to fight to make it there, make it out of there. They're already going to be in a hole off the rip to play at a home event. The only way they can make this up to us is I want EU1 versus EU3 and EU2 versus EU4 at Worlds. That's the only way. That's the only way this math is. The only way this evens out for me.
Yeah, it seems a little bit ridiculous that, I mean, I understand that they're going to eventually try to standardize it in some capacity, right? Because it's like, how are you supposed to compare seeding for teams that don't play each other during the offline portion of the season? So like, you can't always assume that SSA is the 16 seed because they outperformed the 16 seed last time, right? You can't always assume that APAC's going to be 15 because they far outperformed that last time. So like, I understand that they need to do something, but like, I mean, I've heard people talk about maybe doing like a group system similar to like how Esports World Cup did, and like do 4 groups, 1 NA team, 1 EU team, MENA 1 in A, MENA 2 in B, SAM in 3 and 4, and then you distribute the rest as you go, right? And then there's enough for everybody. 4 groups of 4. That way you're guaranteed no friendly fire in the group stage.
That quite literally is the only thing that makes sense. It should be. This is our chance to see interregional cross-regional matchups. And this is our only chance to see it. So why not make it the focal point of it and just have it straight up to get in? Is just the cross matchups. But we're
NA
not getting
also
that.
The only region that has friendly fire in the first round.
Yeah, and that's all we have.
Yep,
it's all we have. It's just, I don't know how they saw that and went, yep. Because even if like they had this idea, went through all the math, and then saw this as the outcome, and they still looked at it and went, that's fair. I don't know how. I genuinely am so beyond confused as to how this seemed like the rational decision on the deciding seeding.
Yeah, but I mean, and like, if you're going to institute the Buchholz system, Bruno Buchholz system into Swiss, which has thrown a wrench in a lot of these matchups, it's been extremely interesting to see that. Like, I understand that the Buchholz system can throw a wrench into all of the Swiss proceedings that we're going to have, but like, I mean, you're starting out 2 NA teams on the back foot who, NA 3 and 4 probably outperform OCE 1 and 2. At least, right? But they're playing NA, so now they're behind the 8 ball, right? So it's like, you're starting to predict your bracket, and it's like, okay, well, I would rather have SSG beat the Ultimates, but that's a huge task. They've done it before. It's very possible that they do, but either the Ultimates or SSG are starting 0-1, and I'd like to say that either Gen G or NRG is going to start 0-1 too, but that's just like, it's really going to be rough. So hopefully they make it up to them with an easier matchup in round 2 for those teams, in the 0-1. But man,
I hope they just overhaul the whole thing. Go, all right, that's on us. You guys are right. Our bad.
When have they ever done that?
Never.
And that's
bring back trade. The only way to fix this is to bring back trading. That's it. The only way to fix this.
Yeah. But it's certainly I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very happy that we're very close to RLCS action in person. I'm very happy that we're blessed enough to be able to go to the closed event. So we're going to be in the room when these matchups happen. At least we know that the A stream is going to be mostly NA.
Yeah, we can look forward to that. And I'm just, it's just really devastating to see, like, to be looking forward. My gosh, I need water. To be looking forward to an event, a homeland event, and just to have it before planes even touch the ground, something's already ruining the experience, and we might lose multiple NA teams due to this.
Yeah.
Not even making it out of Swiss stage, which would be horrible to have this many, or to have a possibility of multiple NA teams missing out on playing on the LAN.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 10 to 11 top 8 teams here. Right? And so some of them have to not make it because that's the nature of the game, but I'd rather have them not make it because they lost out. Like NA4 loses to EU number 3 in round 5 of Swiss. I'd rather have that than they lost because they played NRG round 1, Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. But I think we've talked about that a little bit. I'm sure we'll talk about it more next week when we do our major preview episode. Again, we'll do stats, we'll do, our thoughts on where the team is at, any momentum that they're carrying from their previous events, things like that. And we will do a deep dive on each of the teams as we move into that episode. But for now, let's do a little bit of a power ranking. We're not going into detail on stats on this one. We're just going to do our power ranking. So I think we kind of we go back and forth, but I think that really the first one's kind of a gimme. I think it has to be KC. What do you think?
Sorry, repeat that. I was reading something that was on me.
I think so. I was gonna say power. We'll do our power ranking.
Yeah, I got you. You want to go? You're going KC first.
Yeah,
right off rip. I mean, I think we can make an argument for Foot.
We could. Although, also thank you, Alyssa, for gifting a sub to Quilly.
Heck yeah!
Woo!
Major sub alert.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry. July 2nd, when I get my Prime sub back, I'm immediately going here.
Yeah.
But with that, there's only one answer to follow up at number 2, and it's NRG.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think I have to go Falcons at 3.
We're getting into Falcons. They've looked outside of interregional. They've been looking a little rough.
They have been, but I mean.
All right, following it up. I gotta go Dig. Dig's been cooking in EU. You kind of, as much as it's something you can't deny. They've won a regional and they've made second. I think the other 2, they went second, first, second in the last 3 regionals.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't deny it. Including, didn't they sweep? No, they won 4-2 over K Corp in a great series.
Yeah.
So you can't deny it.
I would agree. I think that it pains me to do it, but they came in second in the last major, so we can't leave the top 5 in my opinion without putting the ultimates. I think that, quite frankly, I don't think that they're going to do as well at this major, but you never know. So 5, I have the ultimates.
Rough. I don't know. I just watched them get absolutely dumpstered. That's crazy. The answer is no to that one. K-Cube tried pre-firing Fury as my guess. I'm gonna have faith in them. It may be stupid faith, but I'm gonna have faith in them.
I think
we're going with Vitality.
Okay. I don't hate that at all. I think that they're Monkey Moon's a 2-time world champion. He is a phenomenal player. Zen is a world champion. Exotic's a world champion. When they look good, they look phenomenal. But that's only been 15% of the time.
Yeah, that's matter. I've seen all 3 of them in EU soil, and whenever they're here, they're firing on all cylinders.
That is fair. At 7, I'm gonna go Furia. They made a top 4 in the last time. It was our first ever, 4 region top 4, and so I think that they will continue to do well. But I have them at 7 here.
All right, following it up at 8. I got a 3-way tie in my brain right now. We're between Twisted, Mates, and as you know, SSG. But I
Fair.
don't.
This would be the last top 8 spot coming out of Swiss, or coming out of the bracket.
Well, you can't predict power rankings and who's coming out. 2 different things. It matters on matchups and whatnot. But who I think is winning head-to-head out of those 3. As much as I want to say Mates, they looked real bad. I know it's K-Corp, so it's hard to judge a team against K-Corp, but they didn't look like they even had a fight in them. So SSG, they somehow win games. They will always come out.
I'd also like to say this is going to be Eugen's first major.
I mean, it's all 3 SSG kids' first majors as well. This is all 3 of their first major.
Yes, but it's also like they're closer to home, right? They speak the language, they get the same food. They don't really have to adjust to as much of a time change or culture shock being in a new country. Like, yes, I think that it will be difficult and challenging for them being at their first LAN, but it's still in the same country, like, which I think does play a factor, whether the players would like to admit it or not. But I like that pick. So then, realistically from NA, we're left with, we're just missing Gen G. And for EU, we are missing Mates. And then we have Sam 2, all of Nina 2, OCE, APAC, and SSA. So my question here is, it's actually not really that much of a question. I have to go Mates. No, Twisted Minds. I talked myself out of it. I think that the land boy himself,
Nupo?
Rise. The land boy himself, Rise, will help out in that regard, and I think that they will have a better performance than they had in the last event, the last major.
Yeah. Not a bad shout, but I've just got to round it out with good old Mates. Have faith in Seiko. Seiko's a beast, one of my favorite players of all time, and I don't want to see him lose.
Yeah, and like I was dragging on Eugen for being a rookie. Eugen has been a phenomenal addition to Mates. He's got the pop-off potential. They've been playing great. He is light years ahead of where Radosin was in this team, and we said from the beginning, and I'll give ourselves a round of applause on that one. We said that from day one. That's not a great signing, but Eugen's been fantastic. But it'll just be do they have the ceiling to be able to peak over some of the other teams above them? And I don't think they do quite
yet. Yeah, definitely. Following it up. Wait, is it mine or yours? It's yours.
Oh, okay.
Wait, is it?
I think it
right?
might. Yeah, you did.
SSG. I did Mates. All right.
Ooh. I'm here for the memes. Give me a VP.
Over NRG?
What?
NRG hasn't gone. Not NRG. Gen G over Gen G.
Oh no, you're right. Gen G.
I mean, we like the forehead, but do we like the forehead that much?
I thought we had already done that. I'm looking at all of them and I definitely don't see them, so I don't know how I missed that. But yeah, Gen G. Justin's first LAN in quite a while, since Garrett was still playing. So super excited to see him back on LAN. But if we're being honest, I think them being in the 0-1 round, first off, after pulling NRG off the rip, is going to be really put them behind the 8 ball.
I mean, or if Red was here, he'd be crying about how they suck in the beginning of Swiss stages because they always start slow, and that's Red's biggest gripe on them is how slow they start. So Gen G could make an upset. I don't see I could see a Gen G upset happening here.
Do you think that maybe is the best scenario for NA? NRG loses and then sweeps through the rounds 2 through 4.
For the sake of NA,
Yeah,
definitely.
like as a pure most NA possible in the top 8.
I think this is not SSG bias, but I think Ultimates and NRG losing round 1 is definitely gives the best chance to make it out. I think SSG losing round 1 might do a little bit of damage to the mental. Yeah, I think those teams making it out stage 1, though they will be going into a gauntlet of the 1-0 stage.
Yeah,
because that is setting up to be something scary.
It certainly will. But yeah, so Gen G at 11. Who do you got at 12? We're sitting at 2 OCE teams.
Give me a Ninjas in Pajamas. Ooh, too soon.
We got 2 OCE teams. Sam number 2, APAC, and SSA.
I for some reason want to have blind ignorance to give Secret over VP, but unfortunately, based off their last performance, I can't. It's got to be Virtus.
The forehead makes a return.
They look dang good in the last one.
They did,
and I think they're gonna be coming hopefully better.
They beat EU number 6 seed Koi for that Apex spot pretty handily every time that they I don't think they lost to him once. They completed a perfect regional, so confidence got to be at an all-time high. But here is the question: how do we rate OCE? How do you rate Secret? And how do you rate Foot?
Scary. I haven't really seen much at TSM. Obviously, they weren't in the last regional, and they're surprised to make it out. I think the next one's a little bit obvious. I think the fact that I didn't even put them at 12 might be a little bit of a problem. I feel like they could definitely go at 12 if need be. I was just giving a little bit of forehead love.
Was it wildcard?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was wildcard.
Yeah. That's what I put at 13. I think that they're too good to have as awful of a regional as they did, or as awful of a major as they did last time. I think
they almost beat Keiko.
They did, and then it was
RNG spawn.
Then they fell off the cliff.
Yeah.
It was fast and it was brutal. The fall off was one for the ages for OCE in that event. But I have wildcard at 13. So we now have TSM, Secret, and Foot left. Who do you got at 14?
Give me Foot.
Okay.
Give me Foot. They're coming back. They're coming back with vengeance. The wild card and Secret were the two teams they almost got a win off of. They took them both to 5. One almost reverse sweep. One got reverse swept. So I think Mr. Harmonic is going to have these boys coming correct, and obviously after he's meeting us in person, I don't know what more fuels a human being to win.
Yeah, certainly that's what it is. But yeah, so with Foot at 14, and based on the fact that we're doing power rankings, and this is like based off the Swiss stage, right? That means Foot has to take one game, like they have to win one series to technically be above the bottom two, who will both finish 0-3. So with that at 15, I'm going to take Team Secret. They had a horrendous event last time. One would hope if you're a Sam fan that they can do a little bit more, but until I see it, I won't believe it. I have Secret at 15, which then leaves TSM, Super Lucky, Emphas, and Kaka as our 16th team in this power ranking. So to rehash, we have Karmine Core 1, NRG 2, Falcons 3, Dignitas 4, The Ultimates 5, Vitality 6, Furia 7, Space Station Gaming at 8, Twisted Minds at 9, Gentlemates at 10, Gen G 11, Virtus Pro at 12, Wildcard 13, Foot at 14, Secret at 15, and TSM rounding us out at 16. So a very interesting power ranking, and like I said before, next week we will go into much more detail about all the teams, and we'll do a live bracket for everyone in addition to our own personal brackets that we will also post before we leave. So that is something to look forward to. Is there anything else Yeah, Harmonic, they're gonna give fire to mates. They definitely should. We hope you do.
If you're in the Discord, you'll see I gave him the recipe to winning.
Yeah, Assistant Coach Quilly.
Assistant Coach Quilly's wise words of wisdom against mates. Don't let Eugen and Juicy freestyle, and you're pretty much golden.
Don't fall for the kickoffs.
They got some dang good kickoffs. You'll never miss out on mates having great kickoff strats. Eugen's just gonna be going for those double backboards, or doubles off the backboard. Juicy's just gonna be going for those full field carries to flip resets. Smother at the point of attack.
Or just demo them. Can't freestyle if they don't exist, you know?
Through that, go with the good old Kofor reveal strat and just kill everyone in sight.
Even if you don't have any boost, just turn around and go get them anyway. What are they going to do if you have 5 demos a game?
We are looking forward to that foot top 8 where we will legally hold Harmonic to a shoey on stage.
We can't do it on stage though because of the.
I'll rip his shirt off. We'll storm the stage. We will be there. Heck yeah, Harmonic. We have faith.
Yeah, but Quilly, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we wrap up for today?
Who do you think is going to be your biggest surprise in the Raleigh?
In general, or good way, bad way, or general?
Both.
Okay.
Why not both? Who's gonna shine? Who's gonna have an absolute stinker?
I mean, part of me wants to say that Ultimates are gonna have just a rough time, but like, I feel like that feels easy to me to say.
I mean, to be fair, they are as low as they are because of an internet issue.
This is not fully.
That internet issue put them in such a hole that they never got out of it. I'm hoping by now they're out of the hole mentally.
I mean, like, that's really the issue. That's really the issue, though, right? The mental.
Yeah. The next regional they made top 2,
and then they didn't make top 2 in the third one.
No, they made a top 2. That was the following one was the last one. It was SSG versus Ultimates, where they got swept. Because Ultimates beat NRG in the semis to go play SSG, where they got swept after SSG and Gen G had an absolute masterclass barn burner.
NRG Gen G was open number 4. Open number 5 was NRG Space Station, and open number 6 was Space Station Ultimates.
Yeah, 5 was the one with the internet issues, and then 6 is the one they went on to go to the finals.
But I mean, still, like, the internet issues, like, I understand, but then they still lost to Gen G in lower round 1.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
If you're going to be a top team, you have to beat the top teams.
Yeah, but I'm saying they came back around. That's what I'm saying. It's not as bad of a thing to say they're going to have a stinker, but they did come back around after that.
They also lost to NRG in lower quarterfinals in Open 4. But again, NRG.
NRG was coming out different. That NRG swept every.
After they lost, after they lost to Gen G, that was
the next 4 and 5. Yes. NRG was moving different.
I think that a big surprise. I think actually, you know what? I'm gonna change my answer from Ultimates. It's gonna be Dignitas. I don't think Dignitas. I think they miss out. I think they go round 5, and I think depending on like matchups, they could go out and miss top 8 again. But
that would mean back-to-back lands they missed.
It would be. I mean,
all right.
In the pet, they've won an event, which awesome. I don't think anyone predicted them to win that major. Even once they got to the grand finals, I don't think people predicted them to win that major. But when the lights are the brightest, Joria's has tended to struggle. So similarly to like an LJ or a First Killer, right? Until they win, I won't predict them to. So, but then on the same vein, I think Vitality will have a good event. I think it's something about lands. I think it's something about the U.S. Monkey Moon seems to love it over here. We're not that far from Dallas and Raleigh, right? He's certainly closer than he is in EU. So, maybe I think Vitality will surprise some people.
That's fair. Can't argue with that.
What
Two
about you?
EU teams. I want to say good surprise is going to be Mates.
Oh, not where I thought you
The
were going to
pink-
go.
Where'd you think I was going?
SSG top 4.
I don't want to put any stake on them. I'm terrified,
fair.
and they give me anxiety to watch because I love them. I love SSG.
Realistically, this is a practice major for almost everybody besides Gentlemates, right? They have 2 practice majors before Worlds. They have this one and they have EWC.
Yeah, and I am terrified. So I'm not putting any stock in them. But Mates, I think everything's on the line here. They gotta go all out. So I'm low key between putting Mates as surprise and also stinker. I don't know if the pressure will be too much or not, but I'm gonna give them the nod and give them good job. And a stinker of a team that I think is going to do poorly in comparison, it's going to be Falcons.
Okay.
I think Falcons come out. They're going to struggle, and they're going to get knocked out a lot earlier than they should be. I think they go out. I think they make top 8, go out lower round.
Do you think if they don't, I mean, they can't make a roster change, right, unless they want to go through LCQ. Do you think after the end of this season, if they don't win, do they make a roster change?
I think TRK leaves.
For where?
Twisted. Or he just forms his own team with someone else. Or maybe I don't know what his English is. I'm going to say jumpy regions.
Do you take a Nuepo over Clears?
I don't know. That is a toughen. But I think Nuepo, if he can fix some things with his personality, I think it's definitely it's definitely going to be a red flag to people wanting to team with him, especially with his last LAN outing and how that ended with Furia, and thus causing Twitter beef. I think that could have been very easily avoidable. I don't know why that happened, but I think no matter what controversy is following Nuepo, the end of the 2023 season went badly for him from a social standpoint. The end of the last LAN went horribly from him from a social standpoint. So I think he's making more problems than he is good to team than not to team with. So I think he's really making it a hard case for people to want to team with him. But I mean, he somehow pulled off Rise.
Fair.
But who knows if Rise is having a good time. But yeah, Falcons is going to be my guess for a possible stinker.
Fair. Good. That's a good question. So, like I said, I'll say one last time this week, a little bit light of an episode. Next week will be our full major preview, and then that last Monday before Raleigh, we will try and do an interview or do something, similarly light like this, kind of something just to kind of yap about, talk some ball, and keep it a little bit easier on the prep end for us as we will all be preparing to or already be in Raleigh for the event. But with that, we would like to thank you all so much for listening. We'd like to remind you that this podcast is proudly brought to you by our name level supporters on Patreon, Alyssa B. Please remember to rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, share the show, tell a friend. It all helps us grow our audience and improve the show. Remember to follow us and subscribe to us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitch, which we're live streaming on right now. We're now affiliate. You can subscribe. You can give subscriptions like Alyssa did. Also, make sure to support us by checking out our merch store and our Patreon, as this is how we'll be funding the show and doing giveaways in the future. All of these links and more can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. And from us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website at boostoverball.com.